welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, I want to talk about turning the bad days around. So I was reviewing some of my past episodes, which is actually rare for me, but I was reviewing them, and I was paying particular attention to the section where I ask people about their biggest failure. And I ask nearly every single person who comes on my show about their biggest failure in life, because I genuinely believe that we learn more from our failures than we do our successes, right? You never really know what the right way to do something is if you succeed the first time at it. Or all you know is it succeeded. You may not have gotten enough information. It may have been luck. It may have just been the right place at the right time, and if you go to try it again, and maybe it won't work out. You just don't know. But if you fail at something, it makes you stop and take a look at what you did, figure out what went wrong. Where did it go wrong? How did it go wrong? Did you not talk to the right people? Did you not try enough? Did you what was it that was required more of you? And then you iterate and you try this and you try that and you try this until you go from failure till you succeed. And once you've done that enough times, you'll know most likely what the correct path from not having a clue how to do the thing to properly doing that thing. So I was reviewing those because I'm considering doing something with them, but that's beside the point. And as I was going through them all, I recognized that there's a difference between my guests. I've had people from all walks of life, from all different kinds of professions, not just in the gaming space, but people who are gamers who are doing other things, quote, real jobs, right? And every single person, minus maybe a handful, told me that they had failures. There was only a couple who were like, I've never failed at anything. Well, okay. Everybody else is like, I have definitely failed. And it's never just tell me about your biggest failure. I always ask, tell me about your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? Because I want to know, how did they pull themselves up from that failure and move forward? And I do that for my guests because if somebody's out there going, I'm afraid to try, I'm afraid of putting myself out there, I'm afraid what people will say, I'm afraid that if I pay that money, it's just going to disappear. Because I want people to recognize the fact that sometimes you just got to do that. Sometimes you just got to put yourself out there in such a way that it all went to crud, right? And, try again next time, except do it with the understanding of what went wrong. What went wrong? How do you move forward? Okay. So turning the bad days around. If you are out there, and not every single topic I do is quote a business topic. Sometimes I want to talk to the person listening to this show because, if you're not getting this type of message often enough, it may cause you to be afraid. You may be worried about failing or risking or trying. The greatest thing holding us back is not risking. Because if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you're stuck in a comfort zone. If you are constantly feeling comfortable, like everything's going exactly the way it's always supposed to be going, it's always going to continue to go that way. It's never going to change in the way that you need in order for your business or your life to grow in the way you would really like it to. The only way for it to grow is to become uncomfortable. So what happens if you put yourself out there and it doesn't work out? What if, the person says no? Or what if, the deal falls through? Or what if you're just not able to go hard enough or fast enough? You're not able to get it in time or whatever, right? What do you do in that situation? Well, I would tell you, first thing you got to do is you take a deep breath, okay? Deep breath, because whatever efforts you were taking up to that point, they're done for now, okay? The human body has two systems at work. It's the autonomic system. It's the sympathetic system. And I'm not that kind of doctor. Anyway, there's a system that turns your stress receptors on and makes your body go into a stress-like mode where you become very focused on how things are. Adrenaline courses through your body. It turns off your process. It draws blood away from your digestive system and more onto your senses. Okay. And then the other system, I think it's the parasympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic and parasympathetic. That's the one that relaxes you, allows you to start thinking more, and allows you to calm down. All right. If you are stressed, and you stay stressed and you go from this situation that was a no, or it didn't work out, or something didn't happen, and you get worried and stressed out over it, and you start trying to figure out how to improve your life in that type of chemical situation in your body, it doesn't quite work. right? Because the system is set up to prevent you from doing higher level critical thinking when you are running your sympathetic nervous system, okay? So take a deep breath, calm down, recognize that this is just one in a long series of failures that you're going to have in your life. And the truth be told, it may very well be the best thing that ever happened to you. All right. I listening to all these people tell me about their failures, I had to think about my failures, right? And I considered the fact that, every single failure that I've had along the way, if I had not had that failure, I wouldn't be here today. If it was not for that one little failure here, that big failure there, I would not have ended up doing the Gamerpreneur. Man, if I had that one deal go through, I was going to earn like 10 million bucks, in an afternoon without having to do any work, just sit back drinking Mai Tais while waiting for it to come in. Man, that would have been great. But that deal fell through. It sucked for me. But if I had had that go through, I would not be here. Like, absolutely would not have been here. I would have found something else to do. I might have, for all I know, blown that money because I had not had enough experience yet to know the right path. All right. And experience is code for failure. Every time you fail, that's when you get real experience. If you succeed, maybe you might get some wisdom, but experience comes from failure and having to spend the time to figure out how to fix it. So what do? Take a deep breath. Deep breaths in and out until you're able to calm down. And yeah, it may take you a day. It may take you a day or two, all right? Allow yourself whatever time you need to calm down from whatever drastic failure just occurred in your life. Don't spend more than that, though, because other than that, that's wasting time. Then you're going to start stressing out about wasting the time. That sympathetic nervous system keeps it in action, and you're not going to be able to consider what you need to do. So you take a time, give yourself a very specific block of time. Like, this is like the real advice here, okay? Give yourself a block of time. And you're going to be like, from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. tonight, I'm going to let myself just veg out. I'm going to be a lump. I'm going to be so stressed out about this. It's going to be okay. And then at 6 p.m. you go, okay, I had my little pity party. It's time to figure out how to fix things. And you calm down and your parasympathetic nervous system will take over. You're going to start calming down. You'll be able to start examining things with a higher level thinking by using your frontal lobe and your neocortex in your brain, okay? And that is how you turn your bad days around. It's not a bad day. In fact, the term bad is kind of a misnomer because it's just a day that it didn't go the exact way you wanted to. Doesn't mean it wasn't the way that was supposed to go for you to learn the lesson that you need to learn in order for it to turn out the right way at the end. I think it was Steve Jobs who said, as we go through life, I think he said he wished he could look backwards in life, because when you look backwards in life, you're able to see how all the dots connect. But as you're going forward in life, you're not able to see it. All you see is these things happening to you, and this thing happening to you, and this thing happening to you. And you're not able to piece it together because you're not able to look through that barrier of time like immediately in front of you. But if you looked back, you'll notice, if it hadn't been for this and hadn't been for that and hadn't been like my life kind of followed this like wonderful track. If it hadn't been for all those failures, I wouldn't be here today. So you turn the bad days around by making a conscious effort to allow yourself to learn from that situation. Okay, it doesn't matter how bad it was. And I know there's people out there who have horrible, horrible things happen to them. Even them. All right. You have to learn how to let it go to the extent that you're not emotionally involved in that situation anymore. The reason why that sympathetic nervous, that stress system keeps going is because you are emotionally involved in it. Your thoughts are emotionally involved in it. When you think about it, you're reliving the situation in your head. You're thinking about how horrible it was. Like, have you ever thought about asking someone out back when you were in like middle school? And you like totally got crushed, like totally rejected. And have you ever had that situation where you were like thinking about that, 20 years later, and you're like, oh man, I was such a numbskull. I can't believe I did that. And you get all worked up about that memory. You're causing yourself stress by getting all worked up about that memory. All right. The more recently in the past a memory, the stronger you can have that stress reaction. And if you continue to have that stress reaction over and over and over and over and over and over again, what ends up happening is your brain starts wiring itself to cause you to want to feel stressed, because nerve cells like to connect with things that fire at the same time they do. And so if you're thinking about something and it causes you stress, it's causing an emotional reaction in your body, and it's causing those nerve cells to want to fire more next time you have a thought related to all that stress. And therefore, you're going to start creating this stress situation for yourself. All right. That is how many people create long-term depression in themselves. It's how their brain is wired. And there is a way to unwire the brain. It's called habit. Your brain is wired in a habitual fashion. How you use your mind, how you use your thinking and your actions creates the wiring in your head to some extent. It's not entire. All right. Some of it's just genetic. So what you want to do is you calm down. You think of it from a detached, totally neutral standpoint. Go, you know what? That was boneheaded what we did, or that was obviously not the right way, or you know what? I want to figure out what went wrong so it doesn't happen next time. If you can be humble about what happened, you can do this easier. You get humble about what happened, and then you start looking at it like a detective. Think of it like you're investigating the scene of a crime. Start figuring out, look at the clues, look at the motive and how everything played out. And if you're able to figure out, I figured out like the 3 spots that it went totally wrong for us. We skated by on number 1, we skated by on number 2, but number 3 is the one that got us. If you can figure out how to fix those things, try again. And you try again, guess what? You might fail again. But again, you just go through that process of, how do I figure this out? How do I try again? And you try and you try and you try until it works. All right. Now, as I say that, I actually have the words of Yoda pop in my head. Try not, do or do not, there is no try. Right. That would be fantastic, except for the fact that you don't know whether you're going to do or you're going to do not until such time as you do or do not. So the best you can try is to try to do, or to attempt to do. You go for the do. And if it doesn't, oh well, figure out how to fix it the next time. All right. So that's what we call a try. Somebody, I don't remember who said this, but trying is failing with honor. Right. So you don't want to give it a try. You want to do it. And if it doesn't work out, oh well. It's how it is. Okay. So the bad days will be your greatest teachers. 20 years, 30 years from now, you're going to look back on the past. You're going to go, man, if it hadn't been for those failures, I wouldn't be here today. Those are what got me here. They reinforced my mental fortitude. They reinforced my commitment. They allowed me to meet that person. They allowed me to do this business, to get this experience over here. And then the whole business crumbled, but I had that experience and I was able to take it over to this thing over here. And if you constantly look at your past as being in your favor, no matter whether it was good or bad, because that's all a matter of perspective, that'll allow you to move forward into the future with confidence and clarity of your purpose. But if you sit there and you mope and you grumble and you complain and you're worried about all of the things that happen and you're stressed and worried that it's going to happen again, so you're not willing to take those risks, you're only holding yourself back and you will be the cause of your own failure. So I want to remind you all, organization is the enemy of sloth. All right. Take the time, sketch it out, just like you might make a business plan going into a business. If the whole thing fell apart, go through and do a post-mortem, do an autopsy report of what happened and why it didn't work out. Spend as much time figuring out why your business failed or the attempt failed as you would into figuring out how to make it work in the first place. And that will allow you to make a much stronger plan going forward. So that's what I got for you all today. Don't be just a gamer. Be a gamerpreneur.